Okay, hi, I'm Izzy. So in the previous video, and I got interrupted, but that's all right. I was talking about my partner and I want to explain my relationship with him. That's why I want to talk about him, and I'm calling him Jordan because he likes Jordan Peterson, and I don't want to use his real name, of course, because, I respect his privacy and it wouldn't be right. So, when we met in 2022, it wasn't instant attraction, and I didn't fall head over heels for him or anything like that. And it just took a while before I fell in love with him, but I did. Yeah, so the issue is that he is a very unique kind of person, if I can say. I mean, he is neurodivergent, and I've said that before, and he has high functioning autism, but we never talk about it. He's never told me that. I know because I worked it out. I figured it out, And also I then at one stage I confirmed that with his daughter, because I said, I really think that your dad has got autism, high functioning autism. And she said, yeah, actually he does, but don't ever tell him that I told you that. So he must have had an official diagnosis at one stage. But like I said, we never talk about it because I think he doesn't like to say that he has autism because it makes him feel embarrassed. I think he think there's a stigma to it, or it makes him feel less of a man or something like that. And I don't really care, that's his thing. And if he doesn't feel comfortable telling me or talking about it, that's fine. I'm not gonna push it. He did confess to me once that he's got ADHD, and that's good that he told me. And so I sort of suspected that as well. So our relationship is like, he's got his own place, I've got my own place, and this has been going for 3 years now, and we see each other maybe once or twice during the week, usually daytime because he doesn't work, he's studying, and I work as a mental health nurse, and I usually either work afternoons or nights. So, and I have a lot of days off because I call myself semi-retired because I don't work. I've never really worked full-time my whole life because I always had children, and then, looking after the family and this and that. So it wasn't, for me, it wasn't the right thing to work full-time. But I've always made enough money for myself, and, my job is quite well paying. They pay you good money in Australia, so I'm not complaining. This is how it works with us. So we see each other a couple of times during the week for a few hours, and then on the weekend, it used to be a Saturday, but now it's Sunday, and Sunday I go to his place about 1 p.m. and then I stay overnight, and then Monday I go back home. And so this is the way the arrangement works. He never comes to my place. He's only been here like a couple of times, and he's only slept over my place once when I was in a rental, and twice here. So I guess it's not something that he wants to do, and there are several reasons for it. One of them is that I still got adult children living with me, a son who's 32 and a daughter who's 19, and he feels uncomfortable, maybe not being around them, but the fact that, we go to my bedroom and then we're intimate, and it doesn't seem right to him that, that the adult children are aware of it. So he thinks I think it makes him feel uncomfortable. So fair enough, it used to really hurt me that he never, goes to my place, but I don't even think about it anymore now. I just don't because it's pointless, it's pointless thinking about something and getting upset about it when, that's the way it is. I've just got to accept it, I guess. And I have complained a few times, I've brought it up, and he said, yeah, he's going to make an effort and at least come to my place during the day, but it hasn't happened yet. And so I don't know if I'm really happy in this relationship because, he, like I said, he is someone who needs a lot of alone time, and he needs to spend a lot of time away from me, not with me, and doing his own thing, which is studying or reading or whatever, or even playing video games sometimes. He doesn't do it a lot, but he does it a little bit. So but I sort of, sometimes I get really sad because I imagined my life to, that's why I went back on the dating apps, and I didn't have that many dates before I found Jordan. I was very happy to, once I decided I was going to date him, I was happy to do that. And my love for him really grew quite fast. And I was hoping that one day we'd live together and we share our lives. But right now it doesn't look like it's going to happen within the near future, or I don't know if it will ever happen. So I'm quite disappointed because of that. But at the same time, I do love him, and I don't want to give him up. I don't want to, and I don't want to go back on the dating apps because I don't know, sometimes I wonder if, I would find anyone better or anyone who makes me happier than him, because Jordan is, he's really nice and he treats me really well. I must say, he treats me really well. He's very, when he is feeling good and when he's feeling up to it and he doesn't need to be on his own, then he can be very affectionate and very loving and very very attentionate, or how do you say it? Caring, considerate. And he treats me really, really well. And he's a very nice person. He hasn't always treated me that well, but never to the point. He's never put me down. He's never called me names. We've never had an argument, really. We only have discussions because he's a very rational person. He's very calm. He doesn't get angry. He doesn't fly off the handle. He doesn't lose his temper. He's very, very, how do you say that? He's quite a balanced person in that way. I know he does get angry sometimes, and he gets grumpy and he gets annoyed, but he usually doesn't take it out on me. He just, sometimes he will say, oh, I don't feel like talking today because I'm a bit grumpy, and then I leave him alone. I don't try to make conversation or anything. And so I don't know, I don't know how things will evolve, but I'm not going to give him up because I do love him. And at my age, I'm now 62, I don't want to go out dating again and ending up with someone who's got maybe alcohol issues or gambling issues or, drugs or whatever. I don't know. I was married twice to people who had drinking issues, and I don't want to cope with that anymore. I don't want to deal with that anymore. I want someone who's looks after their health like I do. I'm not perfect by any means. And that's what attracted me to Jordan as well. He's physically very fit and he looks after his health. He rarely eats any junk food. He doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't do any drugs or anything. He's pretty healthy, you know. Maybe he doesn't exercise as much as I do, but you know, he still has weights at home, and he uses them to keep fit and keep his body in shape. And he's got a good body. He's not overweight. I see a lot of men my age, and even younger, way younger, who are very unfit. They've got big guts, and they don't look after their health. They don't look after their appearance. Some men age very badly. I must say. It might sound a bit offensive if I say it, but I don't care. It's the truth. Most men age very badly because they don't look after themselves. They drink too much. They eat too much of the wrong food. They don't exercise. They have stressful jobs, so they don't really, I guess they don't have the time. They don't have time to exercise. They don't have the motivation. And as soon as they go home, because they're so stressed, they have to drink beer or wine or whatever. They have to numb themselves, because they're in such a stressful situation, in such a rut, and they don't have satisfying jobs. I see it, I see men like that, and sometimes they just drink because they enjoy it. To be honest, but alcohol to me is really damaging. It doesn't make someone look better. It really accelerates the aging process. It makes people look way older than their age when they drink a lot. So I don't drink any alcohol at all. Maybe I just have one drink on Christmas. Like usually it's a glass of champagne at Christmas. That's about all I drink. The rest of the year I don't drink at all, and I don't miss it. I don't need to drink alcohol. Actually, I don't like the effect of it that much, because I think it just, it just stops you from thinking properly, and it's really, dumbs you down, and I just don't like it. I like to have full control of my faculties, of my brain and my cognitive ability. So it's not something that I enjoy. I used to drink when I was younger, though, when I was in my 20s. And because everyone used to drink, so it was kind of a lifestyle to drink. And I used to smoke as well. It was also part of the lifestyle. But once I, turned 30, and at 30 I was pregnant anyway, so I gave it all up, and I've never gone back to it, And then I was married first to an out of control, I don't want to say alcoholic, more like a binge drinker. And that put me off, it put me off alcohol completely. But then my second husband after that, he was a top-up drinker, which means he used to drink throughout the day, but in, more moderate quantities, but it would all add up, At the end of the day, he would have, you can drink a bottle or two of wine within a day, but only have a little bit at a time, but it all adds up. So he never used to get drunk, but the alcohol still affected him. It affected his mood, and he was a very angry person and a very nasty person. And I don't think he was out of control. He was never out of control. It's a fact, but it was still really bad, and it put me off as well. So I'm glad that Jordan doesn't drink any alcohol, and that's a big, big point for me, a big plus. So I like that about him. I like the fact that he's health conscious, because I want someone who's health conscious like me. And like I said, I'm not perfect. I'm still working on improving different aspects of my health, nutrition and things like that. And I do exercise. I do yoga every day for half an hour, and then I go to the gym, but unfortunately I don't go that regularly. So that's one of my things. I want to go more regularly. And maybe I don't want to spend that much time at the gym, but I want to go more often, if that makes sense. Instead of spending an hour once a week, I'd rather spend half an hour, but go there more often, like maybe 3 or 4 times a week, and spend half an hour there and do some weights, because weight training is very important as you get older, to keep your muscle mass and to keep your body in shape. So it's really, really important. I used to do running, but I had to stop because I had a bit of a problem with my hip. My hip was always painful. It was always hurting. And so I decided not to do it anymore because it was after running. So I've also got one leg that's shorter than the other one, only by, it's not a big difference. It's probably a centimeter or 2 at the most. But it's that leg that's shorter that then, the hip on that side hurts after I've been running. So I can't do running anymore, and I miss it. I love running. But anyway, so we do live in, Jordan and myself, to get back to, our relationship. We do live in separate homes. I have my house. He's got his apartment where he lives with his daughter. His daughter still lives with him. She's 19, like my youngest daughter. And the thing is, he's studying. He's studying, maths and physics. And so he, and he's also, because, it's a complicated story. I can't really go fully into it, but his income is actually, it's a government supported income, and the place where he lives is also government supported, which means it's subsidized rent, so he doesn't pay much rent. And so he's getting this payment, this government, you could call it a pension or whatever. And I think he's been on it for a long, long time, because he had a very bad breakdown due to one of his jobs, I think. And that's quite a while ago. I don't know, because he doesn't tell me everything. I just deduct things from, little bits here, little bit there. And he had a very bad breakdown. And due to his, I think it's due to being neurodivergent, he's not the best socially. He has very good social skills, but people, when they see him, they think he's weird, or, his face, he doesn't have much expression in his face, and his eyes, he doesn't have much expression in his eyes, and his tone of voice is quite monotone, so people get the wrong impression. They think he's like a psychopath or something. Like he doesn't come across like a normal person, but of course I don't see that, because I've known him for, over 3 years now. So I look past all that. And also I have a son who's neurodivergent, but he was never officially diagnosed, but I know he is, and I'll talk about that in another video, and that's the son who lives with me. So I know the signs, I know how to deal with it, and I'm very good at, how do you say that? At adapting to different types of people, and I just don't look at it like there's something wrong with him, or I don't look at it like it's a disability or anything. He's just a different kind of person. It's funny because, I grew up in a French-speaking country, and I did all my schooling there, and I do speak French fluently. And back then, I don't know if it's probably different now, because I think autism is also very fashionable. Everyone wants to be autistic all of a sudden, like ADHD. Everyone's got ADHD. And to be honest, I do believe that everyone's got ADHD treats, and everyone's struggling with, focus, being organized, being disciplined, And especially now with social media, we're constantly getting distracted. So it's getting harder and harder to concentrate, and we lose the ability to do that. So I think everyone's got it to a degree. And in France back then, 80s or 90s, I don't know. I haven't been there since the 80s and the early 90s. Autism wasn't really a thing. When someone was like that, they used to just call them an eccentric or a recluse or a misanthrope. Someone who doesn't like humans. Who basically is happy living on their own in isolation and doesn't really like being around people and can be a bit grumpy and off-putting and a bit moody. And I believe that's what it is. To me, Jordan is an eccentric. I don't see him as being having a disability. If anything, he's highly intelligent, probably way above average, and that's also something that I find very attractive, because I like someone who's intelligent. I like someone who can reason, has the ability to reason and to analyze things, and who's kind of on the same level as me. But I think Jordan is a bit more intelligent than me. To be honest, he's a bit more intelligent. I think I'm a bit more intuitive sometimes, and maybe a bit more creative in my thinking. But he's very, very intelligent and very analytical, very brainy, and very cerebral, and I like that. And but he is also physically, he can be very sensual as well, and very very affectionate and loving, and showing affection physically. So he's able to do that as well, when he feels like it. It's not always the case. Of course, he has to be in the mood. I'm always in the mood for affection. That's my personality. Touch is my love language. I think it's my main love language. And I like all that with the person that I'm in an exclusive relationship with, not just random people, of course. I wouldn't like that. So that's where we're at. And at the moment, he's not really, he goes through ups and downs. Sometimes he's happier and he feels more inclined to have me over there and to talk to me and have conversations. At the moment, he said he just wants to be left alone, and I'm finding it a bit hard. I'm finding it difficult to deal with that, and but I guess I just have to be grateful for what we've got, and we actually have a very strong connection, very strong, physical connection, and mental and spiritual connection. And I think I have to be grateful for that and remind myself, nothing's perfect. And happiness is not something you can enjoy. Happiness is not something, you have every day, like a piece of cake every day or something. It's something you got to, constantly work towards, I think. And it's not maybe the primary goal in life. It might not be to be happy. Maybe it's just to accept, to accept where you're at the moment, and try to make the most out of it, and be happy with yourself. Be happy with yourself. Find happiness within yourself. Don't rely on other people to provide you with that happiness. And that's what I want to do. I want to be a person who's comfortable, with themselves. I want to be happy, even when I'm on my own, when I can't see Jordan, or when he says he doesn't want to see me because he needs alone time. He never says that it's because I've done something wrong, or because he doesn't like me, or because because I always thought when he does that, it's always a thing at all. Maybe he wants to break up with me. Maybe he's not happy with me. Maybe he doesn't like me anymore. And because for a long time, I didn't even know if he actually liked me or if he loved me. It's only recently that he started saying, I've said I love you, quite early in the relationship, and I always kept saying it, but he didn't say it back to me. I think he said it back to me at the beginning a few times, and then he stopped. But I kept saying it because I thought, well, there's no harm in me saying it. And I used to say to him, look, you don't have to say it back, because I understand, maybe you don't feel comfortable saying it, but I want to say it because I like to express my feelings, and it's just the way I am. But I don't want you to say it back. If you don't feel it, then don't say it back. And I wouldn't like someone to say I love you just to make me happy, just to please me. I think that would be wrong, and it wouldn't mean much to me, because I would think, well, he's just saying it to make me happy, so what's the point, But since I think since December last year, he started saying it to me. Not all the time, it's mainly when we're affectionate or intimate. Not really like that out of the blue, and I don't say either out of the blue, because I don't want to make him uncomfortable. But I'm someone who has no problem saying I love you to someone, whether it's my partner or my kids, or if I feel like I want to say it, I just say it, because I'm a very loving person. So to finish this off, I think I'm sort of realizing that we do have a good relationship, we do have a very good connection. The only downfall is that we are not living together, we are living separately. So there is a lot of time that I have to be on my own, and I have to try to find happiness within myself, and have to try to find things to keep me occupied and to distract me, and to take my mind off this and not to be sad. And I do like art. I do a lot of drawing and stuff like that, so that keeps me happy. I like reading, although I don't do as much reading as I want to do. I get distracted by social media, TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that. I don't really want to, but it just creeps up on you sometimes, And okay, I'm not going to be too hard on myself. I decided if it happens, it happens, as long as I go back to my hobbies and reading, and I don't just spend my whole time on there. And that's why also I started doing this, because it helps me to talk about my relationship, about myself, about Jordan, because it helps me to clarify. And it's funny, because this morning I felt really sad, and I felt really, do I really want to continue this relationship? But now that I've talked about it, I realize there's a lot of good things about it, and I want to value these things, and I'm grateful for these things. And also, at my age, I'm 62 and he's younger, he's 52, he's 10 years younger. Do we really need to live together? Because it's not like we're going to have kids and we're going to form a family or something, or we don't need to do that, If we want to, we can, but there's no pressure to do it. When you're young and planning on having children, it's a different thing, because you want mum and dad to live in the same house, obviously, and help each other and work together to bring up these children that need a mum and a dad, ideally, which doesn't always happen. And even in my case, it was a bit of a not what I wanted originally. I never wanted to go through divorce and all that. It's not something I wish had happened to me, and it happened to me twice. But that's the way it is, and I have to accept that. So I think I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to talk a bit more next time, and see if I can just you know, focus on myself, focus on what I'm doing, live in the moment. Like they say in Zen Buddhism, you know, you're living in the moment. That's the most important, because if you're always living in the future or living in the past, then you're not living in the moment and you're losing that moment. So why worry about the future even? That's why I'm not worried about my future with Jordan. I know he doesn't want to break up with me. I know he appreciates me a lot, and I know he wants to continue the relationship, and that's the main thing. Yeah, that's it, you know. And when we are together, we have a good time. And whether we move in together one day or not, that's still up in the air. I mean, I'm quite happy to accept it if he never decides never to live with me. I'm quite ready to accept that as well, because like I said, I don't need, at this stage in my life, it's not something I absolutely need to do. It would be nice, of course, it would be nice to do it. It would be nice to experience that. It would be nice to share my life with someone every day. But if I can't, well, that's okay too, you know. I have to be grateful for what I've got. And I am grateful for what I have with this person, and for the way he treats me very kindly and very with appreciation and gratefulness. And yeah, he's just very nice to me. A lot nicer now than actually in the beginning, because sometimes he wasn't always that nice to me, but he's really nice to me now. I mean, over the last, we've been together 3 years, I think. In the last 18 months, he's really, 18 months, would you say? No, I think in the last, since December, when he started saying, I love you, he's changed a lot and he's become a lot nicer. And before that, he sometimes used to say things to me that were not that nice, not offensive, like I said, no, not offensive, not putting me down, but just things that, you know, things that were not very nice for me to hear. But I'll get back to that in, you know, in another video, because I've talked enough today. So yeah, okay. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.